In the winter of 2019, Carmen Wells was struck down with a cold.
And I was talking to a work colleague and they said, hey, take this, you might want to take this particular product, which really helped me to feel better.
That product was ArmaForce, a supplement that's advertised to relieve symptoms of common colds and flus.
After about 2 weeks, I said to my then husband, look, I think something's wrong here. I'm feeling sick all the time. I might need to go and get this checked out.
When she looked in the mirror, she was horrified.
I was in the bathroom and washing my hands, and underneath the bright light, I noticed that the outside of my eyes had a yellow tinge. And I thought, okay, that's not normal. And I actually said to my director, do I look a little bit yellow? And she said she'd noticed my chest had quite a yellow tinge to it.
Carmen's GP ordered tests that suggested she had impaired liver function, so the 45-year-old went to John Hunter Hospital in Newcastle.
My doctor ultimately revised my diagnosis from drug-induced liver injury to drug-induced autoimmune hepatitis.
Carmen had a pre-existing autoimmune disease which can increase your risk of developing another, but her specialist believes her condition could have been caused by supplements she was taking for her flu-like illness.
I was only taking ArmaForce at that time. That was the only thing that I had done different in the months leading up to my illness.
Since 2011, the Therapeutic Goods Administration, which regulates medicines in Australia, has received 858 reports of adverse reactions to 6 different ArmaForce products.
They range from urticaria or hives, generalised hives, itching, to full-blown anaphylaxis that's been truly life-threatening. So we've had patients who have required urgent trips to hospital and more than 1 dose of adrenaline to resuscitate them.
Bioceuticals, the company that manufactures ArmaForce, declined an interview for this story. But in a statement, it encouraged people who experienced issues to seek medical advice and report them to its advisory team.
There are many of us, clinical immunologists, together in the clinic, and after the clinic we will discuss the patients we've seen and share ideas, and it's come to light that many of us have been seeing patients where we believe that andrographis has been the cause of their acute allergic reactions.
Professor Connie Catalaris has been researching the herb Andrographis paniculata, a key ingredient in ArmaForce and other so-called immunity-boosting supplements. According to the TGA, 84 listed medicines contain the herb, which has been used for centuries in traditional Indian and Chinese medicine.
I would like to see more stringent action taken from what I know of the cases that we've looked at.
Andrographis was approved for use in Australia in 2002. In 2008, the TGA received a series of reports of adverse reactions from people taking it in cold and flu products. In 2014, the regulator was advised to consider applying a warning to Andrographis products. In 2019, the TGA required a label be added, stating Andrographis may cause allergic reactions in some people. In June this year, the TGA received a report that 37-year-old Queensland man Cale Agosta died following a suspected allergic reaction after allegedly taking ArmaForce. A month later, the TGA released a safety advisory stating that little was known about the risk factors for Andrographis, that severe allergic reactions had been reported in people who had safely used the product previously, and that it was considering whether the current label warning was sufficient.
Once there are reports of harm, then I think there has to be a very careful review and reconsideration about the ability for patients or people in general to acquire these things so easily.
In August, Bioceuticals voluntarily applied an additional warning label on ArmaForce products containing Andrographis, stating people should not use the supplement if they have a history of severe allergic reaction.
A number of our patients have had their reaction on the very first time they've taken the product. So I have a problem with the wording.
In a statement, Bioceuticals told 730 it deeply empathised with anyone who had experienced adverse reactions to its products and that it met the stringent regulatory requirements set forth by the TGA.
I did want to point out to you that there is an alert about the herb in here, Andrographis.
Okay.
Supplements are generally considered low risk, which means they can be sold at chemists and health food shops without a prescription. ArmaForce is kept behind pharmacy counters, but other products containing Andrographis are available off the shelf.
The problem is that people can walk into a shop and buy these things. They're not prescribed. And people have this erroneous assumption that because something is natural and it hasn't been acquired through a prescription from a doctor, that it's completely harmless. And I think that needs to be dispelled.
In a statement, the TGA told 730 products containing Andrographis were usually safe and that its investigations consider all available evidence, scientific literature and adverse event data. It said possible future regulatory actions include restrictions on the availability of the herb as an ingredient.
I do think the TGA's processes are rigorous enough for complementary medicines. I think that, dangerous anaphylactic or allergic reactions are very rare with complementary medicines. The last thing we want to do is actually scare everybody.
Caroline Diamantis from the Pharmaceutical Society of Australia recommends people seek medical advice before taking anything.
We want to make sure that it is a benefit to provide that product to that patient. And that's why it is imperative that patients understand they need to speak to their healthcare professionals.
I acknowledge that my case is an unusual one, but I'm really conscious about everything I do take now. I read, I research about what's in it.